Okay, we're going to test out my editing skills here. I've been playtesting a deck. I just won it. I wasn't recording the battle, but this is what's left. So you can see we have Altanak, that's in exile, legendary creature from the latest Duskmourn expansion. And what other kinds of things were we up against that they were able to get on the field for the most part in this battle? Lumra, Bellow of the Woods, mythic rare. Vaultborn Tyrant, mythic rare. Overlord of the Mistmoors, mythic rare. What else do we have in here? Oh, look. Overlord of the Floodpits, mythic rare. Mythic rare. Mythic rare Galta. Mythic rare. Mythic rare Traxa. Are you getting the hint on what I was up against? This was an overpowered deck. We actually managed to mill them out, which is not a normal win scenario for this deck. I was near dead, and you can see if it wasn't going to work, they definitely had lethal damage against me in the next turn. But that is one way we can win. So, I don't know if that'll come up in the rest of the regular video series, but I had fun with this near close call, and I want to let you know that it is possible to win just by milling out your opponent in this type of deck. So with that, I'm going to test my new editing skills, see if I can put this on the very beginning of the video, and then we'll go from there. Hello everybody, Travis here for Tpull's Corner. We have a new deck for you. Mosswood Dread Knight is one of the primary things in it. I wanted to do green-black adventure, but I wanted to do something that presented a persistent threat. And so the entire deck is kind of built around that premise. And we wait for the player 121. And I think we're going to need both green and black. Let's do black with Edgewall in. We can sacrifice Edgewall in, return a target card that has an adventure from graveyard to your hand. So if we ever lose Mosswood Dread Knight, we actually have a way to get him back as well. But this is going to be our draw card advantage card. We draw a card. It does cost us 1 life. It should be worthwhile almost every single time. And we don't need to bring anybody back yet, so we're not going to play Cadaver Lab. We wait for Defiled Crypt. We play that first. If this is going to be mono-red aggressive, then maybe they'll concentrate on attacking so much we can still get our licks in with Mosswood Dread Knight. Usually they have a shock or something to get rid of our creatures. Ta-da! They didn't play an instant though. It's very strange. So let's go ahead and we'll pause because they might have some instants they want to put on the show off next. There's another one. They're not doing anything, so let's just get rid of one now. And I can gift them a card. Do I want to? Because it gets me my creature back. I'm going to gift them a card. Wait, do I have... Yes, I do. I can do this. I can do this. What? Wait. Do I have time to set this up? We'll do Defiled Crypt first. If I do get a card that leaves the graveyard, we get a 2/2 Horror Enchantment creature token. Ooh, that's even bigger, isn't it? Okay. Let's see. Land again. 3, 4, 5, 6. We gift them the card. We target the opponent. We get back Mosswood Dread Knight. Goes back to our hand. They lose that creature. And we get that creature. Can I afford to keep using this for draw card? We're going to find out if that's a mistake or not. Okay, now I can return a target creature from the graveyard whenever I want. Whenever I get something in there, we can get it back. Either through unlocking this room or through Urborg Repossession, actually. Another shock to get rid of my creature. That's fine. This is kind of slow for red. They've got 5 lands already. I don't have anything in the graveyard to bring back. But I can do this. And we get rid of instants in case they have anything in their deck which counts instants and sorceries in the graveyard. What is in their hand that they don't have any instants? This is a sorcery, so we might as well play it now. Make them sacrifice the creature with flying. And we'll do this again. I'm going to hold Bestial Bloodline in reserve, just out of a surfeit of caution. Ah, they've been waiting for the right color. It's not mono red after all. Okay, so we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so if I do this now, and I do this now with Trample, and we get rid of one of their creatures. I guess I should have been getting rid of creatures, so that Bringer the Last Gift would work nicely. Nope, still don't have a creature in the graveyard. Okay, so we get to see every card that they've got. I get to choose what they get in their hand. I think we want to give them this pile. They get a 3/3. That's not really a problem, is it? Let me get rid of another creature. And we've got all these foods now, so we don't worry about our life total. And they're going to take that. Not necessarily the most ingenious win, because I think they were just land starved for the right color. They needed an island to get some of their cards going, and they didn't get it. So, not the most satisfying win. Let's go in and dissect the entire deck. The Mosswood Bloodline. It's based on bringing stuff back from the graveyard. Not in the way that we usually reanimate things, although we do have some of that in there. I have 4 copies of Mosswood Dread Knight. I did have to burn 1 wild card to get my 4th copy. So for the adventure, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Then you bring it down for 2 more, 3/2 trample. And when it dies, you can cast it from your graveyard as an adventure until the end of your next turn. So you need another 1 in black mana, 2 mana to do it again. But we tend to just keep recycling this card unless they can exile it. The other ways you can get around this is if they exile the graveyard itself, or if they have like a white enchantment and they paralyze it. We pair this up with Bestial Bloodline as we just did in the first battle just now. It's a cheap enchantment. Enchant creature gets +2/+2. It's nice to put on a Trampler, but for 5 mana you can return it from your graveyard to your hand. So normally, a lot of people don't like using auras, especially experienced players. At least this is what the Wizards designers tell us. They design enchantments a lot. They don't design as many enchantment auras because it's a card loss, right? If I spend all my mana to put an enchantment aura on a creature and then they just kill my creature, then I'm out the creature and the enchantment aura at the cost for them of only 1 spell. This one, although it is expensive to bring back to your graveyard, from your graveyard to your hand, if you do last longer into the middle game, it makes this a worthwhile enchantment, more so than most of the others. There's just recurring value there. What else to help us out? Since we're doing black and green, we have Terra Sunder because it has the black kicker. Exile target artifact or enchantment, which is nice. If the spell's kicked, we can exile any target non-land permanent instead. Over under 1-drops. Cold Conscript. It enters tapped as a 2/1. For 2 mana, I can return it from the graveyard to the battlefield if a non-skeleton creature died under control this turn. I don't have any other skeletons, I don't think, in this entire deck. So whatever creature dies, I get to bring this back if this is in my graveyard. One little mana sink. The Evolved Sleeper comes in as a 1/1, but I can keep pumping it up. And for 3 mana, if it's a Phyrexian at the end there, I can put a +1/+1 counter on it. And just like the Mosswood Dread Knight, I can go ahead and... put it on the right place. I can go ahead and put a +1/+1 counter on it, then I get to draw a card and lose 1 life. So same cost there. But that's another place for potential card draw. 1 copy of Urborg Repossession, again a kicker. Green Kicker, I can return a creature card from my graveyard and gain 2 life. If I kick it, I can return another permanent card as well as a creature. So maybe 2 creatures, maybe a creature and an enchantment. This is actually a cheap way to get the Beast of Bloodline back if I don't have 5 mana, if I only have 3. Pick your poison. You saw me use that. Sacrifice enchantment, artifact, or creature with flying. I'm usually saving this for creatures with flying because I do have the Terra Sunders for artifacts and enchantments a lot of time. For my creature removal, I'm relying on Black Sun's Twilight to do minus. Normally, I try and save this until I have 5 or more, unless I'm really scared up front, and this is the only weapon that I have on a smaller creature. But if I do the 5 or more, I can return a creature card with mana value 5 or less from my graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So yet another way for me to get creatures out of the graveyard once they're there. Choking Miasma. Again, another kicker spell, though I'm not wedded to saving this one for the kicker. If my enemy's trying to swarm me with a bunch of 1/1 or 2/2 tokens, I can cast this all creatures, get -2/-2 until end of turn. I do have the issue, though, where I might have the Mosswood Dread Knight out and maybe I don't have the enchantment on him, so his toughness is only 2. If I can afford the green kicker, then he becomes a 4/3 and doesn't die from the Choking Miasma. Consumed by Greed. This is a Bloom Barrow card. You saw a target opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control, and if I promise them a gift, which means they get to draw a card, I get to return a card from the graveyard to my hand. So entirely situational. If I don't have a creature in my graveyard, I don't have to worry about it. It's just removing their biggest threat. Sentinel of Lost Lore. This is from Eldraine. I haven't seen anybody use this. Maybe somebody used this against me once, but here's the choices you can have when it enters. I can return a target card you own in exile that has an adventure to your hand. So if I've used the Mosswood Dread Knight for the Dread Whisper sorcery, it's going to be in exile. I could just bring it back into my hand instead of casting it onto the battlefield. With this card, I can take it from exile, put it back in my hand, and just use it to draw another card and lose a life. Or I can put a target card I don't own in exile that has an adventure on the bottom of its owner's library. So if they have any card in exile that's similar from Eldraine, it has an adventure capability, I can get rid of whatever creature it was going to be by throwing it at the bottom. Or I can just exile their graveyard entirely, which might come in very handy. You'll see why later. We have Honest Rustine. When it enters, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. I might not use this if I have an empty graveyard, just because creature spells cost 1 less to cast. I've only got 24 lands, so we've got Realm Breakers I usually do. This mills them for 3 cards. We get a land card from the graveyard. Comes under our side of the battlefield. It's tapped, but it's under our control. And we have Leyline of the Void, just 1 copy. It's sort of a possible solution to the problem with Bringer of the Last Gift. So I didn't want to go overboard. I didn't put multiple copies in. But if it is in your opening hand, you can begin the game with it on the battlefield. Otherwise, if you draw it, you play it. Cost 4. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you exile it instead. I don't know if my editing skills are up to par, but if I did the way I wanted to, there is one test case where I milled my opponent out and I put the end of the match at the beginning of this video to just show you. We put all of our opponent's cards in their graveyard, and we did it so often they had a little bit of draw card advantage themselves, so they kept drawing cards. No matter what they got, we destroyed it. It went into the graveyard, it went from the graveyard into the exile because of Leyline of the Void. We ended up milling them out. In case we have trouble getting lands, we have 1 Invasion of Zendikar to go get some extra lands in the deck. We have 2 Obstinate Ballast, so if a spell or ability an opponent controls cause you to discard the Ballast, we get to put it onto the battlefield instead of putting it into our graveyard. Plus, whenever it enters, we gain 4 life. So if you think about it, if we're not facing discard, we pay 4/4/4/4 that gains us 4 life. That's value enough, I think. If we are facing graveyard or discard, the discard player is going to be in for a rude supplies if they try and make us discard a card. And that's in our hand. 2 copies of Licknight's Conquest. This is the one place where I'm not sure if I have too many Resurrect cards, but we can sacrifice any number of artifacts, enchantments, and or tokens. We return that many creature cards from the graveyard to the battlefield. 1 room, the Defiled Crypt and Cadaver Lab. So we play the Defiled Crypt first, almost always, as we did in the first round there. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, you get a 2/2 Black Horror Enchantment creature token. You can only trigger it once per turn. Then if you lose a creature that you want from your graveyard for only 1 mana, you can bring it back to your hand. That's really cheap. That's good value right there. In the meantime, these tokens, if I can power up and get some tokens, then that's going to fuel the Lick Knight's Conquest. So if I get some more good creatures in the graveyard later, I can just sacrifice the tokens again and get the big creatures back. 2 Gix's Command for creature removal, sort of like a mini board wipe. And then we have Bortuk Bone Rattle. When it enters, if you cast it, choose a target creature card in your graveyard. You return the card to the battlefield if its mana value is less than or equal to the number of basic land types among lands you control. Otherwise, put it in your hand. I only have 2 lands, so this is not normally a card that you see unless you have like 3 or 4 colors in a domain deck because of the domain mechanic, right? But if we play this card and I did lose a Dread Knight, I can put it right back straight into the battlefield, which can be nice. Or I just get like a Baloth back in my hand. Not a big deal. Just another way to get stuff out of my graveyard. 1 Virtue of Strength. Again, for the Garambig Growth Adventure, I can return a target creature or land card from my graveyard to my hand. And maybe if I have 2 creatures in the graveyard that I want, I can use Sentinel of Lost Lore to put that card back in my hand and cast Virtue of Strength a second time. Maybe even do all that in the same turn. Meantime, Virtue of Strength, if I tap a basic land for mana, produces 3 times as much of that mana instead. Make sure I don't have any mana problems for the rest of the game. And then Bringer of the Last Gift. I have 2 copies. This is from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Vampire Demon, flying with 6/6. When it enters, but only if you cast it, each player sacrifices all other creatures they control. Then each player returns all creature cards from the graveyard that weren't put there this way to the battlefield. This is a problem sometimes if I destroy a bunch of creatures, clear the battlefield. I've got a 6/6 flyer, that's all I've got. But say they had like 4 creatures in the graveyard already. All 4 of those creatures are going to come back on their side of the battlefield. If I've got Leyline of the Void out, those things are probably exiled instead, so I don't have to worry about it. But there is a kind of infinite recursion chain that I can put together in this, where I can keep casting one Bringer of the Last Gift and bring the other one back. So it's kind of interesting with the way that these cards interact. We'll see if that comes up. And also I have 2 Restless Cottage. I can power it up, make it a 4/4 black and green horror creature, and I can exile when I attack. I can exile it to 1 target card from the graveyard. So that's another way for me to get rid of cards from their graveyard, so I don't have to worry about bringing creatures back if I play Bringer of the Last Gift. And then, of course, remember also, Sentinel of the Lost Lore, I can exile their graveyard. And also, this is kind of cool. I might do a deck featured around this some other time. Imagine pairing Leyline of the Void with Realmbreaker. Not that I would need the land, right? I don't care that I'm losing my chance to get land, but I just mill them 3 cards and they would go into exile immediately. That's kind of a fun kind of premise that I think I want to play around with a little bit. So that'll be another deck in the future. Yeah, a number of different things that we have programmed into this deck so that we could do this. I did want to point out, they put this rider on it that they didn't used to in the old days. When it enters, if you cast it. Okay, first of all, remember we're still in the phase, this new era of Magic where it used to be saying enters into the battlefield. They took off into the battlefield so they could have more text. They would actually probably maybe have enough words to put it the old way on this card, but they want to save some text space, so it's now just enters. That's the phrase. And they added on this if you cast it. That's because they've done other cards that did similar things in the past, and those cards were broken because you would throw them into the graveyard, trick them out for cheap onto the battlefield, and have all these effects. So they've made it so you have to actually cast the spell rather than get it onto the battlefield in some other way. Now you could turn it down, face down, in this current modern environment, and then pay the full casting cost to flip it up, and that would count as entering into the battlefield. So there is another way that you could get that to open up, so to speak, and still have the effect. 1 Demolition Field to take care of their specialty lands, and the Edgewall Inn again in case I lose the Mosswood Dread Knight, or maybe I lose Virtue of Strength somehow, and I could get the target card back from the graveyard to my hand and get another shot at it. And plus the Edgewall Inn gives me a little bit of mana fixing ability so that if I get the wrong colors in my opening hand, Magic Arena tends to give you your specialty lands, a lot of them up front. So I should get at least one edge wall in fairly early on. So if I do have the wrong colors, I should be able to use that to fix it. I don't have anything that needs 3 of any one color, so I just need 2 green and 2 black to be able to cast everything that I want. Although we do need to get up to 8 lands in order to cast my big bomb. And so this is, I'm kind of okay with this. I don't have anything for until turn 3, but we do have cheap removal. If they get lucky with a really valuable artifact or enchantment early on, maybe we can use Demo Field to fix our mana, getting rid of a special land of theirs, or we just go get the green that we need, obviously, from them, using Realm Breaker. That's an instant. I'm just going to auto-pass so that they're not too on guard about whatever we might have. Oh, that's nice. We don't need to worry about mana fixing now. We do need to worry about counter spells, which can be a very big pain. I do want to make sure Realm Breaker works. Oh, good. With 2 Terra Sunders, we should have sufficient removal here that we don't have to worry about too many things. But the frogs can be kind of fast. Let's see how much time we have to set up here. We'll go thin our deck first, rather than use Realm Breaker. Now, certain counter spells we can outpace with our land ramp. Wow. Okay, 3, 4, 5. So we can do 2 things. We can draw a card and lose a life, and then we can get rid of this 4/4. Sticky Tongue Sentinel. Okay, so they want to go for card draw. They got Surveil going on. They're going to have their card draw, maybe. What happens if we say no to that? And we say no to this. And I don't want to put down the Cadaver Lab. We don't have any creatures in our graveyard yet. But we're kind of keeping the environment clear from everything they've been trying to put down so far. They're able to refill everything so easily. They still got a card draw out of that. Okay, so we will play this. And we will play this. And we will go ahead and start milling them. And what did they? We didn't get any land. We got rid of a Long River Lurker, another Gossip's Talent, and Stalking the Pantry. They got rid of one of my creatures. That's gonna hurt. Alright, I think we bring down the big guns. 4 life back, we needed that. We're gonna go ahead and pay, oops, that to draw one more card. That works. Do we bring down the Dread Knight, or do we mill? I think we mill. We finally get one land. Alright. Okay, now we can cast our big spell if we need to. Plus, we have Bartok Bone Rattle here. This guy's already too big. I'm playing kind of risky, but the thing is I can bring this guy back for 1 mana into my hand. So, can I chump block now, or does he have a bounce spell? Their draw advantage has certainly managed to get them enough lands to keep up with us. If they have a bunch of bounce spells, I'm going to need a lot of extra energy to keep bringing my creatures back and bring the enchantments back. Are they going to just tap my Baloth? So I kind of need a board wipe. He wasn't able to use that for chump block. Okay. What do we do here now? 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2. I don't have enough to block everybody even. I can do this. I don't need to gift a card. They'll get rid of 1. I could get down the 4-4 or the 3-2. I guess we're putting down the 4-4. That's not enough. They can just bum rush me anyway. We couldn't get it done. Couldn't keep up with all their card draw, even though I tried to use Mosswood Dread Knight. It wasn't enough against the Frog's card advantage. And my deck is predicated around the idea that I'm going to lose some creatures and be able to bring them back for cheap. I don't know what they're waiting for. I only have 4 life. And I'm all tapped out. they want to play another spell. Okay. That's interesting. They put in both Season of Weaving and Season of Gathering. Yeah, I'm dead. All right, and in this case, getting those 2 bestial enchantments weren't of much help because they could bounce me, they could tap me. Actually, worse than what I prepared for. I was prepared for creatures to die, and they avoided that for the most part. It's almost as if Arena could read my deck, and they managed to put something out that they knew I couldn't handle. Arena wouldn't do that to us, would they? We've only been playing this game for 4 years. 2 black and 2 green. We'll start with getting our second black, so we can power up Gix's command when we get to that point. Let's then go green, so we have 2 green. And we can ramp when we need to. There might go our Gix's command. Our deck is a little slow to get going, so if we're up against the bats, we could be in trouble. They didn't take Gix's command. They took Defiled Crypt. Unexpected. They might have a second bat ready. I guess we just get rid of the bat for now. They wanted this gone, so let's make sure that it's not gone. Now, if they have another bat, it doesn't matter what they take. We have a way around it. They throw away their Market Watch Phantom. They pump up the Guardian. They're going for the hits. Let's get one of each. Let's keep things even and symmetrical, shall we? Okay, 6 lands to our opponent's 3. There goes our enchantment. They really want us to use this, don't they? Done. What else you got? Exile a card from our hand. We will do that. We will exile the Bloodline. So, Arena found another way around us, bringing stuff back, right? Exile this time. They still got a full hand. Lots of cheap spells so far. 2 2s and 3s. We made him think. I don't have anything in the graveyard. I think it's okay. Actually, we have this. Let's go ahead and use this now. Oh, shoot. Hang on. Let me make sure I press the right buttons. We want to do 4, get rid of their flyer. And then we're okay with attacking. We're not going to lose it. They could chump block if they want, but that would just delay this for 1 turn. And if they delay it for 1 turn and kill this, I can bring something else out immediately. So they should let me have this. Unless they're desperate. And it's possible that their entire deck is not that cheap. But it might be. Neighborhood Guardian is based on power 2 or less. So everything might be 2 or less. Again, exiling. Do we use Terra Sunder? Let's do this to start with. And let's wait. This is an instant. So I get what I want. In the meantime, I also get card draw. I get my creature. Watch, this will be just in time for a board wipe, right? Bring down the second Dread Knight. Now they got one of them out in exile. Do they have anything else? You may cast a creature spell from the top. Let me get rid of that one, actually. Their whole deck is based on powers 2 or less. We are not going to countenance that. Yeah, we can just attack with everybody, right? Bone Rattle I can keep in reserve still. We still have no creatures in our graveyard. I take that back. We have creatures in our graveyard now. Ha ha! Well, we have one. Okay, should I use these now? Can I use these now? Pass to attackers. Oh, I can't use those now. Okay. It is my turn, though. Okay, so... I'm just going to kill myself with the points, aren't I? How many board wipes can they have? Alright. This is the goal of the deck. You kill them, they just come right back. What are you going to do? There's only so many exile and board wipes you can have in your deck. And if the creatures are power 2 or less, some of their toughness, I might be able to get them with this and pay the kicker and save my Dread Knights. Oh, are they going to get rid of Choking Miasma? They get rid of Obstinate Baloth? What is going on? Are they not reading my cards? Do you not know what I can do? Do you not know what I can do? Look at me, I can do this. I get the Baloth back. They get a bat. I get to attack. They take it. Go down 5. Oh, I can't pay for that just yet. Do I still not have a creature in the graveyard after all of that? Wow. Okay. Let's do this. Go into 4. Opponent's running out of ammo. That's all they could do. Aha, okay. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so I need the life. Chump blocking with the medic against the trampler doesn't make much sense unless, again, they're desperate for a card draw, which maybe gets them to another board wipe. I could use a bestial enchantment right about now. Or just some creature that goes to the graveyard that actually stays there for a change. They shouldn't be trying to attack me from the air now. That bat needs to be a chump blocker against the Baloth. We get to discard 2 cards. Sweet! I never thought I'd get creatures in the graveyard. And we sacrifice 2 creatures? This is awesome! That is so cool! Okay. Let's see. We'll do black there. Go down to 1 life. Bring these puppies down. Let's see. Use Virtuous Strength. Return Ruckstein to my hand. And then attack for 8. And I don't think they can do me 1 point of damage this turn, can they? No, they cannot. I don't think we'll keep them in suspense or play any more spells. We'll just say that was close. I got down to 1 life point. But I did that for a reason. Because it's usually the opposite of how I'm used to playing Magic. When I was younger, and when I started, I really loved life points. Ooh, Ghostly Keybearer. Let's see, 3/3 flyer, combat damage, unlocked room. I do like the rooms in Duskmourn as well. I used to try and get so much life. I had a lot of fun when Arena first debuted. It was a couple of years old before I came back to it during the coronavirus lockdown. But they had a certain life gain environment where you could get hundreds of thousands of life points if you combined your cards just the right way. So I think I enjoyed matches where I had 1,000,000 life. It was fun. But there are people that will tell you if you have too many life points, that's a resource that you've left unused. So this deck really does use your life points as a resource. Coming in hot. Alright. Bestial Bloodline is not going to be helpful this round, and we might not last to get Bringer of the Gift out. I need land. I need to be able to exile these things. Need to get rid of Discerning Peddler. Okay. They're trying to do a quick knockout. And this is all I can do. If I don't draw land to exile somebody, I'm going to be in trouble. They got me already. 3 creatures? And no way to stop them. Seven points. And exactly everything that's wrong, right? We didn't even get the land we needed. We got rid of Obliterating Bolt, Thrill, and Felonious Rage. So that's just bad card draw. We got 2 of the Lich Knight's Conquest.
If you'd rather fight, bring it. Wisdom kindles the heart.
It's possible we might have lasted if we got 1 land and we were able to use a Terra Sunder on one of them. And then we could use another Terra Sunder on the next. Having the 2 of the Lich Knight's Conquest is the one area where I might have conceded. You know, maybe we get rid of one of those cards for a cheap removal spell. And I am open to that, but I haven't been running up against a lot of mono red because I'm not playing ranked. There is still mono red out there in the regular standard play environment when you're not playing ranked. But it's been a while since Arena did that to me. But you notice they gave me the most expensive card in my hand, and then a bunch of resurrection spells and enchantment aura spells. None of my creatures. So the fix was kind of in there, even if red didn't do a great draw. I was getting lousy draws, and Arena was going to make sure I was not going to win that no matter what I did. Again, the most expensive card in the opening hand. That happens a lot. Are we going to do mono red again? We do have Black Sun's Twilight, so we'll just do it now. Actually, hang on a second. Blah, blah, blah. Let's wait. Do they want to pump this up? We can maybe respond in time. Mistress Foundry. Filigy Silex. The exact number. Okay. Do we take a point or do we wait still? Cacophony Scamp is a deck designed to pump that sucker up. I feel like I should wait and just take the point of damage. I don't really have other things that I can do right now, so I've got this as an instant. Aha, another one. This one's actually worse, isn't it? Let's see. First time you control. So I'm going to get rid of Heartfire Hero. I think that's a worse spell than Cacophony Scamp. You can do me 0 points of damage. That's kind of perfect. Let's go ahead and do Defiled Crypt. I'm not really scared of this yet, and having another Twilight is perfect. Perfect counter for this. Burbrass Forge is terrible. I do have an answer for it, but I need it to come up fast. Not what I needed right this second. They have two. Okay, the fix is in. I've got ways to get rid of artifacts and they're just not popping up, but you get 2 of those in your first 10 draws. Okay, there's no sense in waiting on this anymore. But I need my artifact removal cards. Notice again, they gave me all the expensive stuff. I mean, I can put down a 4/4. But they have all 3 colors they need. Nice. We'll try and keep the Bone Rattle around for another turn. I'm not sure what good that did. Down to 4 lands. They don't really need any more lands. They just need to wait and have the forges do their work for them. A 3rd forge? No way. In their top 14 cards. Arena, you did me dirty again. Good game. What are they going to kill me with right now? This wasn't a good game. They gave you 3 Erebras Forge. Oh, that's what they did. Okay. Remove 10 oil counters. They had 10 among them. Yeah, I had the perfect response to that. When you look in my deck, I mean, literally, a card that we've had show up in every other match, and Arena keeps it from me. For that one specific match. Arena's just, here's one way that we'll beat you, and then here's a second way that we can beat you. But it's always based around me not getting my cards, and them getting exactly the cards that are the opposite of what I needed. Leyline of the Void in the opening hand. Sweet. Would prefer a creature at this point, but I do have Cloak Conscript, so let's see if that flies. They deny it. Okay. Kind of glad, I guess. So that goes straight into exile because of Leyline of the Void. Is this going to be an otter deck? Yep, it's going to be an otter deck. Alright, Leyline plus Realm Breaker. We're not getting land, but we're just throwing everything they have into the exile pile. Straight away. And it just so happens they got all the land they needed already. Otters is a cheap deck. So we can see what they get rid of. Lightshell Duo, Valley Floodcaller, Harnesser of Storms. And they get a 4/4. We did not get what we needed. Let's do this. Hopefully we can draw into a land. Yay! One mana counterspell? No. Okay. And now that can't be blocked, right? That's a problem for us. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about that flashback. Okay, Gix's command. Actually kind of makes it for an interesting, fun deck, fun battle here. They've got counter spells, but they've also got some flashback stuff that they're going to have to give up. Okay, they counter that spell. I'm going to be really low on life here. They had to tap their attacker, though. I guess I'd go ahead and... No. That thing got up to 4. There's no sense of me throwing mine away. It has prowess twice because this gives it prowess. Gross. I need them not to have another counterspell. Are they tapping out? Oh, they're just trying to kill me. What? They killed me already. Now you're just showing off. Alright, and you see the third way that Arena can sabotage us. They give them exactly the right number of lands that they need. We kind of missed a land draw in there. And they give them exactly every spell that they need. So they go through almost their entire hand. Well, I'm stuck. So I think they're trying to tell me, we'll go ahead and make this adjustment now. Just because I try and have fun with the more powerful cards. And when Arena beats me, trounces me 3 times in a row, and they've given me a card that I can't use, I only have 2 copies of the card, but they made sure to give it to me twice. So I don't know that I have a 4th copy of... See, I don't have a 4th copy of that. So let's go in and look for a good little removal card for black. And we'll just make it a destroy card. And do we want something that's... We'll do a simple destroy target creature. Fell. Because I haven't used that card yet. So we have one more removal card that's very cheap instead of a 5-cost thing that brings creatures back. I don't have a lot of creatures in here. It's just I have a lot of repeatable creatures. Alright, we're scaling down a tiny bit to match the smaller paced, faster decks. And we'll try this once more. You'll notice that since I have put the Obstinate Baloth in my deck, we haven't come up against discard yet. We've come up against the bats. That's not quite the same as discard. They are still giving us a copy of the most expensive card in our hand. They haven't stopped doing that. No, so if you're tired of playing against discard, I've done this before with a deck built around the Obstinate Baloth. If you don't want to play against discard, just put 1 or 2 copies of this in your deck. You'll be fine. We're up against mounts, are we? Here's where we find out if we're still in trouble, if they land starve us or not. Look at that, they land stars. And with the only copy of Lignite's Conquest we have left in the deck. Thanks a lot, Magic. I think we're stuck here. Maybe we use Fel. Opponent makes their land drop as normal. And there's no reason to land star me, Arena. You already had me lose twice in a row. They've got 2 mana still available. I don't mind that trade. There's a land. Consumed by greed we can afford, so we destroy target creature now. And then if they put out something scarier, we're good with this. That is scarier than a 1/1 Death Toucher, actually. We don't need to worry about counter spells or anything they're holding on to. They're just going to lose that creature. I'm not gifting them a card. But we are kind of stuck, right? They just have a replacement for that right away. We still need a land. Here we are. Okay. Let's try this. Almost back to full. They can keep pinging us with the ankle biter if they want to. There we go. Destroy that. We're tapped out, so we can't bring back the Cult Conscript. So, kind of stuck, actually. I guess we're going to wait. We've got a little bit of room here. We'll avoid the damage now. We're just going to exile that one. Someday Arena's going to have to give me one more land. It is tapped. Okay. Let's do black on that one. We will pass. They need to be able to saddle 3. They're not going to bring out a creature, are they? They're not. They don't even attack. What's up with that? Let's see. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is perfect. Bring back the Baloth. Gain 4 life. Get rid of the threat. Back up to full life. So, because I have the Mosswood Dreadnought and I'm losing a point of life, the Ballast is in there a lot for life gain as much as anything else. Let's do black for that one. I think we just attack. They're definitely going to want to trade. What are these 2 cards they're hoarding? They got 7 mana. They didn't block. If I'd have known that, I would have put Bestial Bloodline on it. Ooh, that's a big one. That's a big one. Okay, they need to saddle 2 for that, though. Exile. Autopay. Attack! Still taking the 4 points of damage. So it's a debate here. You could put Bestial Bloodline on there and really force them to block if you wanted to. Which we might do here. But they're still holding these 2 cards, and they've got 3 mana open. They could have a way to foil us. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They could do Bringer the Last Gift, too. Let's force the issue. It's now a 6/6. Block with the snake, please. Thank you. Bring back the conscript. End the turn. How many creatures do they have in there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's too many for me to really want to bring back with Bringer of the Last Gift, so I don't think I'm going to use that one. Unless, yeah, they still have a flyer in there too. They finally hit me for 4. Not a problem. So many things to do here. Let's try this. And we'll just bring back my Baloth. And that works. I'm curious what these extra cards are now. Ah, there's one. They can exile that too. Okay, Arena found one of my weaknesses. Exile. Now that I've announced that I'm not going to use that, we'll just do it this way. Bam. So now I'm back to a Reanimator deck and no creatures in my graveyard. They have all the creatures. None of the Mosswood Dread Knights coming up. Okay, this will work. This is kind of cool. No, hang on. Okay, let's not do that yet. They're going to get some life back. They didn't attack. Okay. Now we use Bringer of the Last Gift because we have Leyline of the Void. That gets exiled. They get 6 creatures back. We don't care. They can do 13 points of damage to us right now. They surveilled their land away into exile. And they do nothing. Perfect. Oh, this is so perfect. We set up the recursion chain. We can cast Bringer of the Last Gift every single turn now, and they just lose. They have 2 different ways to block flyers right now. Bringer of the Last Gift. Previous one goes to the graveyard. All of their stuff gets exiled. They have no creatures that can be brought back. They will never have any creatures that can be brought back again. If they exile that, they just destroyed it. No biggie. No biggie. You know why? We can do stuff like this. Oh, it's artifacts, enchantments, or tokens. Shoot. Submit 0. I thought... No, it's a skeleton warrior only. Okay. That was my mistake. Do I have 4 left over? I don't. Okay, so now... Maybe this card doesn't belong in here after all. Eh. We'll just hit him for 2 for now. There was a case where I ended up with a lot of food tokens. I don't want to sacrifice this particular enchantment, but I might be persuaded. Hang on, let's put this out. Put this down. No, I don't want to do that. I need the green again to put these down. There's probably a much more efficient way I could have ended this one sooner. but I'm just sort of playing with my food to show you what all we can do. Ooh, that's kind of nice. Oh, they're dead now, aren't they? Can you stop that? Do we do a good game? Okay, they kill that one. Doesn't get exiled, though. Doesn't go to the graveyard, either. Oh, I have to wait for the damage. Now I can do that. Bring you down. And we'll spread the love a little. They stopped one. We could destroy everything with Gix's command. We could also have a little fun with this. They're not waiting. They knew I was playing around with my food. Alright, I think that's enough to demonstrate the deck. I was really glad that we had an occasion where the Leyline of the Void came out, and I could show you how we could just exile all of their creatures every time, especially when we get both copies of this, so that one just basically replaces the other. We just wipe the board each time that they put something out. All their creatures go into exile. We end up with a 6/6 flyer left over. So, Cold Conscript. There's the Evolved Sleeper never came up. Pick Your Poison's yet another way to get rid of artifacts and enchantments. So besides Terra Sunder, we actually had 5 chances to get something that would have gotten rid of one of those artifacts, and it never came up. Looking at the removals, really. We've got 3 of the Black Sun's Twilight. You can use the 4 Terra Sunders as removal. We've got the 1 Fell now that puts us up to 8. Gix's Command, so we have 2 Board Wipes, which puts us up to 10. That's still kind of low. 11 for Consumed by Greed, so we're getting close to the average. But the average Magic deck I still think has like 13 to 14, and a lot of the stuff I see on Ranked has as many as 18 or 19 removal cards. So I'm still kind of, I mean, you can technically, I think we're close. That's 12 with Choking Miasma. So we're not too low on the score, but I'm still kind of doing minimal removal cards, minimal interaction cards, to the extent that I want to try and play with some of these other more interesting cards and see what kind of neat combos we can get from them. And the more removal cards that you have in, the less time you have, the less space you have to put in those other things. Sentinel of the Lost Lore, maybe I need to get more copies of that to have more fun with that sort of aspect of the deck. That didn't come up quite as much. And we didn't get too much use out of Defiled Crypt yet, but this is where I end up with a lot of Black Horror enchantment creature tokens, and then Lix Knight's Conquest can really come in big after that. So, granted, I only have the 1 copy of each, but we've seen how often this comes up. I've just got to be willing to sacrifice artifact, enchantment, or token. And I don't have a lot of those without getting a lot of the tokens here. Yeah, I'm kind of pleased with the deck. I'm having fun with it, even though it's 61 cards. You can see the mana average is still pretty average, 3.1 mana average. Only the 13 creatures and only the 24 lands. But those 13 creatures, we've got a lot of them that you can just bring right back, and other spells where you can just bring the... I mean, how many times did we bring the Baloth back? That was awesome. That was a lot of fun. That kind of constant life gain is really cool too. So I'm really enjoying the deck. This is the one question mark I do. So go ahead and I always invite you to like and subscribe. As always, we also thank our Patreon. If you do have a comment on what you might like to see different, if you were going to take this deck out for a spin, would you replace this card, or is there something else that you would do to it? Let me know what you think, and we'll have something new for you next time. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.